Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sindhu Mataji. The voice is
Hare
clear,
Krishna.
right?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Can we start, Prabhuji? Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 30. Description by Lord Kapila of adverse fruitive activities. Text. Should I read all the text? Oh, okay. Text 1. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, text 1. The personality of Godhead said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of the time factor by which he is being carried. Whatever is produced by the materialist with great pain and labor for so-called happiness, the Supreme Personality as the time factor destroys, and for this reason the conditioned soul laments. The misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent and that the attractions of home, land, and wealth, which are in relationship to the body, are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent. Text 4. The living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life. While deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy, he feels little inclined to cast off his body even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. Such satisfaction with one's standard of living is due to deep-rooted attraction for body, wife, home, children, animals, wealth, and friends. In such association, the conditioned soul thinks himself quite perfect. Text 7. Although he is always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled in order to maintain his so-called family and society. Text 8. He gives heart and senses to a woman who falsely charms him with Maya. He enjoys solitary embraces and talking with her, and he is enchanted by the sweet words of the small children. The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reactions of all his miseries, and if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he is happy. Text 10. He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of the food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those whom he earned the money in such an irregular way. When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself, and when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. Thus, the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failure, grieving very deeply. Text 13. Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen. The foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by the influence of the old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. Text 15. Thus he remains at home just like a pet dog and eats whatever is so negligently given to him. Afflicted with many illnesses such as dyspepsia and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food, and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. Text 16. In that diseased condition, one's eyes bulge due to pressure of air from within and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing and upon exhaling and inhaling, he produces a sound like gura gura, a rattling within the throat. Text 17. In this way, he becomes under the clutches of death and lies down surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives. And although he wants to speak with them, he no longer can because he is under the control of time. Text 18. Thus, the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in great grief, seeing his relatives crying. He dies most pathetically in great pain and without consciousness. Text 19. At death, he sees the messengers of Lord of Death come before him, their eyes full of wrath, and in great fear he passes stool and urine. Text 20. As a criminal is arrested for punishment by the constables of the state, a person engaged in criminal sense gratification is similarly arrested by the Yamadutas, who bind him by the neck with strong rope and cover his subtle body so that he may undergo severe punishment. Text 21. While carried by the constables of Yamaraja, he is overwhelmed and trembles in their hands. While passing on the road, he is bitten by dogs and he can remember the sinful activities of his life. He is thus terribly distressed. Text 22. Under the scorching sun, the criminal has to pass through the roads of hot sand with forest fires on both sides. He is whipped on the back by the constables because of his inability to walk, and is afflicted by hunger and thirst, but unfortunately, there is no drinking water, no shelter, and no place for rest on the road. Text 23. While passing on the road to the abode of Yamaraja, he falls down in fatigue, and sometimes he becomes unconscious. But he is forced to rise again. In this way, he is very quickly brought to the presence of Yamaraja. Text 24. Thus, he has to pass 99,000 yojanas within 2 or 3 moments, and then he is at once engaged in the torturous punishment which he is destined to suffer. Text 25. He is placed with the mist of burning pieces of wood, and his limbs are set on fire. In some cases, he is made to eat his own flesh or have it eaten by others. Text 26. His entrails are pulled out by the hounds and the vultures of hell, even though he is still alive to see it, and he is subjected to torment by serpents, scorpions, gnats, and other creatures that bite him. Text 27. Next, his limbs are lopped off and torn asunder by elephants. He is hurled down from hilltops and is also held captive either in water or in cave. Text 28. Men and women whose lives are built upon intelligence and illicit sex life are put into many kinds of miserable conditions in the hells known as Tamishra, Andatamishra, and Raurava. Text 29. Lord Kapila continued, My dear mother, it is sometimes said that we experience hell or heaven on this planet, for hellish punishments are sometimes visible on this planet also. Text 30. After leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. Text 31. He goes alone to the darkest regions of hell after quitting the present body, and the money he acquired by envying other living entities is the passage money with which he leaves this world. Text 32. Thus, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maintainer of kinsmen is put into a hellish condition to suffer for his sinful activities like a man who has lost his wealth. Text 33. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black method certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andatamishra. Text 34. Having gone through all the miserable hellish conditions and having passed in regular order through the lowest forms of animal life prior to human birth, and having thus been purged of his sins, one is reborn again as a human being on this earth. Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving me this opportunity. I mean, reading this was, I felt like reading Garuda Purana. Yeah, so, I mean, these are all the things that can happen if we don't follow, any bit of spiritual sadhana on our side. And if we fell into the trap of uh, materialistic sense gratifications and Maya, then I think this is clearly explained what can happen and what will happen. Thank you, Prabhuji, for this opportunity so that I can read this in the holy Vrindavan Dham.
So, Hare Krishna, how are you doing? Siddhi Mataji, Sagar Prabhu.
Doing good, Prabhuji. Now I can't see the recording button, Prabhuji, like recording. Just live is showing. I don't know
Yeah, I'm
this.
not recording.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not recording. Let me change the sound settings a bit so that speaker goes there. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hmm. Sagar Prabhu.
Yeah, all good. Back from India to Germany last week.
A small, I thought, a trailer of a of a nightmare movie.
What?
What about others?
In India.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start and let's see if we can keep this interactive. We can deepen our understanding further because I think I find it very helpful. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamahyan Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shrita Patakamalan Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Anvitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminithi Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Vanchakalpatarabhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishenma He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. So let's see what is the plan. Okay. So this description of Lord is absolute truth. Yeah, it cannot be compromised. It cannot be adjusted for our facilities to enjoy more in this world. Because it clearly says that whatever the Lord is speaking, it's absolute truth, and we can also know already. Yeah, we are not like 5-year-old kid. We are not just 10 years just started seeing a very fabulous, all great pleasure world. Yeah, we see everywhere there is a lot of suffering. Some are very wise. That's why these days there is also propaganda that why to marry? Why can't we live together? Yeah. So yeah, we see what happens for such kind of situations. Anyway, let's go through these verses once again and understand what Prabhupada is emphasizing. And I would try to keep this interactive. I hope others also keep it interactive so that we can get the crux of this very well. So the opening is telling about that we are all under the influence of time. Yeah. So person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of time factor. Well, we may know it, but we are not still knowing to that level that we should be really careful. We know how time is okay, split into months, days, hours, fraction of a second, in whatever capacities, but it's only kind of information, and we can also realize that it's coming and going continuously. Yeah. But we are not able to appreciate the powerful influence of time factor unless if we introspect ourselves by seeing a photo of us maybe 10 years back and now. Hmm. So when we do that, then we will know, okay, so many things change in our life, and that is the effect of time factor. So a conditioned soul, in the purport it says, soul lives in a particular body for a fixed measurement of time. But because we don't know that fixed measurement of time, we are taking it very casually. Yeah. And because we are taking very casually, the time is not going to change. Hmm. And it is recommended in the scriptures that within that small measurement of time, one has to finish Krishna consciousness. It is not start Krishna consciousness, one has to finish. Huh? Maybe someone can say, what does it mean to finish Krishna consciousness? Hmm? I don't know.
Means doing japa very well. But to finish our rounds.
To do japa, very good. Yes. Yeah. Any other? Yeah. To attain our eternal constitutional position, uh, to understand first of all who I am, to understand the Supreme Lord, and to understand that is to render the service. So that is what is to finish, yeah, to understand and also execute whatever is required to do that. That is finishing, yeah, this. So in that way, here we see that we are not here to just start. I think baby steps. We know how tedious are these, right? Just imagine if you are holding a child and walking with him. What happens is the child is very slow, yeah, because he can't take big steps. How boring it is for you. You always want that, no, we should go fast. Yeah, yeah, we want to take big leaps and steps. So then only we'll be able to achieve this goal, what Prabhupada is mentioning. Yeah, and that too in the small measurement of time, of which I think half or maybe at least 1/4 of it we have already spent. Whatever left, we have a lot to do. But unfortunately, those who are not in Krishna consciousness are carried away by the strong power of time without their knowledge, as clouds are carried by wind. We know that clouds are very heavy, right? Yeah, when the clouds are very heavy, we may think, okay, they are so huge. If you see in the sky, these clouds can cover one whole district, but that can be simply moved by wind when it blows. So that's how Chanakya Pandit also says that one cannot regain such a valuable time even by paying any amount of money. We also can try this. Yeah, it won't come back. Uh, so wise man says, and we understand, we take it. And then it goes, whatever is produced by the materialist with great pain and labor for so-called happiness, as the time factor destroys, and for this reason, conditioned soul laments. Can we identify at least one thing that stayed with us? Hmm. Identify at least one thing that stayed with us which we paid. Yeah, for which we have worked very hard with great pain and labor. Even if there are many. Yeah, the time will be kind of taking it, so that the nature of the world where we are living will influence our plans. That's why we have to appreciate sooner or later. Yeah, I mean, later is always dangerous. The sooner the better. That the main function of time factor is to destroy everything. We have seen, we have read that so many big constructions that are made. Yeah, from history we can see that there were many powerful empires on the surface of globe that were constructed with great pain and great perseverance. But in due course of time, they have all been destroyed. Yeah. So that should make us that there is no hope that whatever we with great labor we earn can stay forever. But we may think, okay, that's okay. If that is the nature, for whatever time I can enjoy, let me enjoy. Uh, so then we'll see what happens. Not knowing this fact, they take a small flash of life to be everything. Hmm? Whatever we think that, okay, let's enjoy now, and this small flash of light to be everything, and they waste time in improving economic conditions. So in that way, what is happening is that with great effort we are working hard, uh, and then we are just handing out whatever we have earned uh, to someone. For example, if we fly, we pay the ticket. But where are we paying? Where are we flying? Uh, Ultimately, whatever hard earned money, how are we spending? The misguided materialists. Who are they? Can someone give some examples? Who are this misguided materialist? Hmm? The word given here is it is durmati, the misguided person. A misguided person is already a misguided person. He has so many desires, he has so many expectations of this world, and he will just rub it on you so that he can extract his pleasure. I don't know what is this punch scams. What is this called? Yeah, if you buy this, if you bring 10 people, you'll get some commission for nothing, and then this guy, it's a scam, and then he goes. Yeah. So a misguided materialist is misguided already, hmm, and does not know that his very body is impermanent, and that the attractions of home, land, and wealth, which are in relationship to that body, are also temporary. Come on, have we not heard this? Have we not realized it to some extent? But still, hmm, is there something else? Is there any option? Out of ignorance, he thinks that everything is permanent. Hmm. And in this, I think there are two words that are given. Yeah, yeah, another part of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Yeah, so the materialists think that persons engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy fellows. Have you come across such feelings or people having such feelings? At least I have come across. It's nice, yeah. So because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that devotees are mad people. So if someone is calling you crazy, then you are following the right path. Because no one can understand a devotee unless he is a devotee. Unless he becomes a devotee, he cannot appreciate the mood of a devotee. And what to talk about a materialist who doesn't even know what is spirituality. His he wants to make 1 euro to 10 euros, 10 euros to 1000 euros, and so on and so forth. But here it says materialists think that persons engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy fellows, wasting time by chanting Hare Krishna. But actually, he does not know that he himself is in the darkest region of craziness because of accepting his body as permanent. And in this relation to his body, he accepts his home, his country, his society, and all paraphernalia as permanent. And this is what is Mohat Graha Kshetra Vasuni. Out of illusion only does the materialist accept his home, his land, and his money as permanent. Sometimes we see this, yeah, because yeah, it's my house. Yeah, for example, if we buy, right? If rent maybe, I don't know what feeling we have. If we buy something, then we feel, "Hey, my house, I need to make it chaka-chak. I have to make sure that everything is so nice. Everyone who comes to my home." Uh, so we try to maintain it that permanently. Uh, but in another part of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the acceptance of body as oneself, the acceptance of others as kinsmen in relationship to this body, and acceptance of land, of one's birth as worshipable, are declared to be the product of an animal civilization. So this is what, if we are not able to come to the platform of this spiritual consciousness, we are as good as animals. This is what, what are we said? Dvipada Pashu. What is that? I forgot this. This is in Mahabharata, no? Ahara Nidra Maithunamcha, Ahara Nidra Bhaya Maithunamcha. These are four that are in animals and humans. The only difference that makes us a human is that we develop this Brahma Jigyasa. Otherwise, we are Pashubir Naranam. We are as good as animals. This is what in Mahabharata it is said. That is very suitable proposition. Everyone has a relationship with Krishna. When all economic development and material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, a new phase of progressive life arises. So what is happening is, because we don't know that unknown world, uncertainty is there, and then we don't want, abhi jo hai usse chalayenge, otherwise I can't again earn a lot. Let me continue in this rat race. Even if I just move 1 inch, someone will take my place. And again, I don't know. This time sometimes we feel, right, in profession, if we take a break, we think we cannot come back. So that's a different race. But when we are in Krishna consciousness, then a whole world is exposed. And then what happens in this process of working? Jantur vai bhava. It is not Vaibhav. It is Jantur vai bhava. Etasmin yam yonim anuvritjet. This is what happens. We keep transmigrating because of this business. The living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. This is the biggest problem we have. Sometimes it becomes so challenging to convince others, because they think, hey, life chil raha hai, life is smooth, happy, and because of that great happiness, or maybe come this way. So because of that great happiness, what is happening is, he's thinking, I'm so happy, all this, why should I take Hare Krishna jap if I'm already happy? What do you say? Do we really need it? Napu Prabhu, what do you say? Do we really need if we are happy? Because here it says living entity, he is never averse to being situated in such a condition because he is satisfied. I don't know whether you're there. Or Komal Prabhu, what do you say?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Tirumala Mataji, you are there. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it not amazing?
Prabhuji?
Is it not so amazing that we think that, okay, I am satisfied now, why to do anything else?
Prabhuji, we take Krishna's name, అంటే మన సిన్స్, అంటే ప్రీవియస్ ఇయర్ సిన్స్, ప్రీవియస్ జన్మ సిన్స్ కానీ, ఇయర్ అంటే ఈ జన్మలో ఉన్నవి కానీ, అంటే ఏ బ్యాడ్ థింగ్ మన దగ్గరికి రాకూడదు అని చెప్పి మనం కృష్ణాస్ నేమ్ తీస్తాం ప్రభుజీ. లైక్ వి చాంట్ కృష్ణాస్ నేమ్.
Yeah, that is at least some a layer or a level above, but then there are people who are satisfied, yeah, because we think that we can't have a perfect life, yeah. So I think we have seen, right, who's perfect. I think there is a company, furniture company, who's perfect. So even if they don't do a good furniture, chalega, because already they are claiming that who's perfect. No false agenda, they are really telling who's perfect. And then and we say that, what is it, um, what is it, man is air is what, I forgot what is that. Error is human. Human is, I forgot something like that, which means error, a human will anyway do. So in that, when we don't do it, we are satisfied. And when we do it, we thought, oh, okay, it's imperfect. So it's okay, chalega. So the satisfaction of living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, is called illusion. Now it might appear that we are talking philosophy. Might be like, okay, too high level philosophy. We are not at there. This is philosophy for people who have retired. People who have retired, where for people who should really take to spirituality, but satisfaction of living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, that satisfaction is illusion. Now the question comes, how is it illusion? Because we are identifying that satisfaction through the body, through the senses, which means that is temporary, and that satisfaction will lead to dissatisfaction, and in that way it is only illusion. We don't know what is good, so how can we say it is we are satisfied? If something happens to us, if it is correct, then we are satisfied. We don't even know that what happened is correct or wrong. A man in a higher position may feel dissatisfaction with the standard of life of a low grade man, but the lower grade man is satisfied in the position because of spell of Maya. Maya has two phases of activities. One is called Prakshepatmika, and then Avaran Avaranatmika. Yeah. And then Avaran, we know this compound, right? So Avaranatmika means covering, and Prakshepatmika means pulling down. Both are very dangerous. Yeah. With covering, we are covered, we can't see through. And the other one is pulling us down, due to which, though we are trying to jump beyond these limitations, we are again pulled down. So this is the effect. And what is the example? In the lower grade or lower species of life, the development of consciousness is so poor that one cannot understand whether he is happy or distressed. That is the covering. Even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself happy, although a person in higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool. How abominable that life is, and an exclamation is to be noted. And going forward, we see then what is happening. Now comes the interesting, scary, or actually, it's not a fairy tale, but only a scary tale from here. Narakasto api deham vai na pumams tyaktum ichchati narakyam nivrittau satyam deva maya vimohita. Uh, the conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own a particular species of life, while deluded by covering the influence of illusory energy. So in this regard, there is an example given by about Indra. Very careful again. I mean, all this chapter is, yeah, we need to pay great attention, and we may have to read again and again, time to time, until we finish this business. It is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master Brihaspati. I think you know this story, right? When Brihaspati gave a flower garland to Indra, what Indra did, he just put it on the head of the elephant. And what elephant did, it didn't like it. It just took it with the trunk and trampled under its feet. This caused great displeasure of Brihaspati, and he cursed. And then what is the curse? He became a hog in this planet. After many days, Brahma wanted to recall him to heavenly kingdom, and Indra said, no, I want. He refused to go back. Indra, in the form of hog, forgot everything of his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. This is the spell of Maya. Now we are talking about Indra, the king of demigods, and Indra is suffering this. What to speak of ordinary beings? Even Indra forgets his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of a hog's life. Complete contrast. A king life, that too not in this country, not in this world, a king life in the celestial world, but then he has likes to be a hog. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate towards his particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body. Still, we don't want it. That is the bitterness. Give up this body and immediately you get the king. That's a no, no, no. Give up everything in this material world. Come to me. Krishna is saying. And if I am telling, that's a different thing. That I will provide you a king's body. There is no guarantee. But Krishna is assuring, give up everything. Krishna is personally canvassing. The word, if you see here, is personally canvassing. Why he has to do the advertisements? Out of compassion. But we are not agreeable. We think we are quite right, all right here. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. In this chapter, we will know more tales of Maya. Atmajaya, this is very nice. This I'll go to the straight because we have a lot to cover. Such satisfaction with one's standard of life living is due to deep rooted. What is the word? Nirudha Mula. So deeply rooted attraction for body, wife, home, children, animals, wealth, and friends. In such association, the conditioned soul thinks himself quite perfect. If sometimes some people, I'm really surprised. How are you? I'm perfect. And doing japa, attending temple program, hearing katha. No, I don't need. I see all these are, um, maybe for you it may work. I don't need because everything is going perfect. This so-called perfection of human life is a concoction. Therefore, it is said that the materialist, however materially qualified he may be, is worthless because he is hovering on mental platform, which will drag him again. This is what the other illusory energy will drag him again to the material existence of temporary life. One who acts on the mental platform cannot get promotion to the spiritual. Such a person is always sure to glide down again to the material world. So this is in the association of so-called society, family, friendship, and all these things. He feels completely satisfied. That's why we say we come across such cases. Why? Because they don't have interest because everything is going smooth. Such satisfaction with some standard is like that, and then although he is always burning with anxiety. Now tell me who doesn't have anxiety? Hmm? Hmm? Anyone raising hands? No? Who have anxiety? Tirumala Mataji, yeah, of course, yeah, your situation. Not only you, even I have anxiety. Yeah, we have anxiety in so many ways. We have anxiety of tomorrow. We don't know what are we doing. Are we doing something correct or wrong? Anxiety is our constant companion as long as we identify ourselves with this body. That is what is mentioned here. That although he is always burning in anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities. That I think we have seen enough. Hours together, we have seen so many people what kind of scams they do at a national level, international level, to wipe out religion from the globe. Hmm? So, and why do they do it? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's not that okay. They do it with a hope, which is never to be fulfilled. There is anxiety. That's why we want to do something. If there is no anxiety, we will not do anything. No? If there is no anxiety, we will not do anything, because what is there to do? If there is anxiety, I want to avoid that anxiety. I keep doing so many things. Just like, what is this called? There is a spider web, and then there is a fly that comes, and then it stucks. The more it moves, the more it is in the cob. So, and in that way, yeah, so it is never fulfilled, and in order maintain his so-called family and society, it doesn't work. Hmm? And especially in Kali Yuga, we are in that yuga where we are talking about not Krishna Lok, we are talking about in this planet. It is said that it is easier to maintain a great empire than to maintain a small family. Yeah, not because that the king will have a lot of servants to serve. Yeah, the king or the empire, the king has a lot of servants and etc. But even he is in anxiety because tomorrow, whoever next neighbor, na, he wants to occupy. So he always has. Otherwise, why does he need all these soldiers and everyone, warriors? So when the influence of Kali Yuga is so strong that everyone is harassed and full of anxieties because of accepting false presentation of Maya. This is what is called Maya's family. Whatever we are identifying, the society, family, friends, it's all Maya's family. The family we maintain is created by Maya. It is perverted reflection of family in Krishna Lok, and description of Krishna Lok is also mentioned here. There are also families, friends, society, father, mother, everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change bodies, our family relationships also change. Sometimes we are in a family of human beings, sometimes in a family of demigods, sometimes in family of cats, and sometimes in family of dogs. Family, society, and friendship are flickering, and so they are asat, which is temporary. So in that way, naturally their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of real family association with Krishna. So then what happens? Because because of this false identification, he gives heart and senses to a woman who falsely charms him with Maya. He enjoys solitary embraces and talking with her, and he's enchanted by the sweet words of the small children. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that today's broadcasting didn't happen, no? Maharaj, the broadcasting didn't. In that, Maharaj was telling about the influence. So I thought it's a sensitive thing. I leave it if the link so that one can listen to the lecture of Maharaj. But in nutshell, this is telling about what can happen. What can happen that the attraction to opposite sex can lead to suffering. To what extent will be a glimpse. I think I when in 2001, when I was in ISKCON Bangalore, they have a very nice diorama show of the book Second Chance about Ajamila pastime. And in that connection, there is a mention, I mean, a show about this illusion and how this can go deep. Yeah? And he says that first, what happens, he gives his heart and senses to the woman who falsely charms him, and he enjoys solitary embrace and take her, and he's enchanted by the sweet words of the small children. And in that, in this verse, there is this Srinam and Asatinam, indicates that womanly love is just to agitate the mind of man. Actually, in the material world, there is no love. There is no love. And then in this connection here it says both the woman and man are interested in their sense gratification. And here important point, for sense gratification a woman creates an illusory love and the man becomes enchanted by such false love and forgets his real duty. When there are children, as a result of such a combination, the next attraction is to the sweet words of the children. And this is becoming, yeah, we see that when child says so soft, so cute words and everyone, see, just speaks like a parrot, and then whatever he tells, whatever it asks, the parents think, yeah, it's my responsibility, it's my duty, it's my love, my relationship, and then gets into a trap of providing all the comforts of the material world, to whatever their extent, to the child. The law of women at home and the talk of children make one a secure prisoner, and thus he cannot leave his home. That's it. So maybe after marriage, a break can really have, there is a chance, but after kids, it's a secure prison, and thus he cannot leave his home. Such a person is termed in Vedic language as Grihamedi. And we have to take it from here. Yeah, till now, whatever we are talking is about a proper materialist. But here we see that, but then what should we do now? Yeah, we have after all married, we have kids, and what should we do? We are not supposed to lead such a life. No. If we are focusing on enjoyment, then that is a Grahamedi, which means one whose center of attraction is home. Whereas Grihastha refers to one whose life with family, who lives with family, wife, and children, which means Grihastha ashram is fully present in Vedic civilization. But whose real purpose of living is to develop Krishna consciousness. One is therefore advised to become a Grihastha and not Grahamedi. The Grihastha's concern is to get out of the family life created by illusion and enter into real family life with Krishna. Whereas Grahamedi business is to repeatedly chain himself to so-called family life, and that is and entering. But is it okay? Griheshu kuta गृहेषु कूत धर्मेषु दुःख तंत्रेष्व अतंद्रितः कुर्वन् दुःख प्रतीकारम then this is what sukhavan manyate grihi. So this householder, what is the halat? What is the halat is he has to now earn money, right? Anyone will tell, okay, after marriage what to do? To maintain house, maintain family. But how to earn money? How to earn money? It's very difficult to earn modestly, honestly. It's very, very challenging, right? We can simply blame Kali Yuga, not us. Kali Yuga is like that. What can I do? So attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics. Have anyone seen politics in family life? I don't know why it's not showing. If someone raises hands, I want to really see. If you have realizations, how political conditions prevail. So then what happens? Yeah, so it's very sensitive, na politics. So not everyone can. That is diplomacy. Yeah. So so always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification, he acts just to counteract the reactions of all his miseries. And if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he is happy. And the example given here is, I think it will come later. It's very nice how the kings punish their prisoners. So there is no question of happiness in this material world, either individually or in terms of family, society, or country. If something is going on in the name of happiness, that is illusion. Here is the material world. Happiness means successful counteraction to the effect of distress. That is what happiness means. If someone is saying, how are you? If they are saying fine, they are having some relief from miseries. But that doesn't mean that they are really happy. Yeah. That because we do not have experience of what is real happiness, we think that relief itself is a big thing. I don't want to, I'm not so greedy. I don't want happiness. Satisfaction is nice. That is so nice, because if I get something now, if it will not stay with me, I'll be more disappointed. Better to be satisfied with what I get. Compromise. That is also an approach. The material world is so made that unless one becomes a clever diplomat, his life will be failure. And I mean, I don't know. I really want to stress this word, clever diplomat, is very, very important. So it's not that devotees should not be diplomats, but we should be clever diplomats. What does this mean? Anyone? Hmm? Ram Raghav Prabhu came, Rupa?
లేదు వాళ్ళు హేమగౌరి మాతాజీ వాళ్ళ ఇంట్లో ఉన్నారు. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ దే విల్ కమ్ హియర్.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So, yeah. So, what is this clever diplomat is? This is a clever diplomat to counteract the diplomacy of the materialistic people. They want to cheat us. We can't just accept, okay, I take humble position and I just surrender to whatever you are doing, cheating. Just like yesterday when we were reading the Prabhupada Leelamrit, there Prabhupada was not allowing that cheating to happen. That is clever diplomacy. That if there is something gray area, stop it. And another clever diplomacy, at least in Grihastha Ashram, is how to prioritize our life. Yeah, all of us have great desire to go to Dham, to stay there, to serve there, to pray. But then there is also obligations, social obligations, family obligations, friends obligations, and so many obligations are there. We have to use our intelligence how we can sort it out such a way that our main purpose of life is fulfilled. We have to really see that is it really helpful for them or for me if I really attend. Otherwise, we have to be intelligent. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, we have to speak. Sometimes we do not have to speak. Yeah. That is what is called clever diplomacy. Otherwise, his life will be failure. This is what it's in. Not to speak of human society, even the society of lower animals, the birds, the bees, cleverly manage its bodily demands of eating, sleeping, and mating. Human society competes nationally or individually. And in the attempt to be successful, the entire human society becomes full of diplomacy. This is what we see. Yeah, different countries play different kinds of diplomacy. Some speak, some do not speak. Some are very straight, like Maharaj says about Holland, Germany. In Japanese, if you ask something, they'll take at least 3 months before they can reply even yes or no. In India, they say yes and they may not do it. They'll say, yeah, we will do it. Yes, we will do it. And last day, say, nahi hua, sorry. So that is not the diplomacy. So we should always remember that in spite of all diplomacy and all intelligence, the struggle of our existence, everything will be end in second by the supreme will. Therefore, all our attempts to become happy in this material world are simply a delusion offered by Maya. Why Maya has so much interest to offer us? He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of the food that's thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those for whom he earned the money in such an irregular way. And in this connection, yeah, there is the Prabhupada mentions a Bengali proverb: the person for whom I have stolen accuses me of being a thief. The family members for whom an attached person acts in so many criminal ways are never satisfied. This is what we have the example of Ratnakar, who became Valmiki when he was asked by Narad Muni, check with your family, are they happy? Are they going to take your sins? They said no. In illusion, an attached person serves such family members. This is the sum and substance of material existence and attachment to the material society, friendship, and love. So now, I mean, all these are very straightforward truths. Yeah, we don't have to sugarcoat these because we cannot accept it. No, yeah, we have to one time or the other we have to come to that reality to advance. Although an attached family man is always engaged in getting money by hook or crook for the maintenance of his family, he cannot enjoy more than what he could consume, even without such criminal activities. A man who eats 8 ounces of foodstuff may have to maintain a big family and earn money by any means to support his family. Even by earning money by unfair means, he cannot enjoy life for himself. That is called the covering illusion. And then this is what happening. The head of the family thinks of himself as the master of the family. This is a big drama. At least in India we have this, right? Who is the owner of the house? They say, father. And actually that father is the main servant of the whole family, right? The head of the family thinks of himself as the master of the family. Otherwise, he will not go and work, no? Because, or the leader of a nation thinks of himself as the master of the nation, whereas actually he is serving, and by serving Maya, he is gradually going to hell. Therefore, a sane man should come to the point of Krishna consciousness and engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, applying his whole life, all of his wealth, his entire intelligence, and his full power of speaking. When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself. But when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. Huh? This is what the next stage, because we cannot get enough money, right? There is no enough word, no, for money. If we get more, we want to have more. If we get even more, that is what is greed. But how much can I earn by myself? Not much. Then I take loan. क्रेडिट हाँ क्रेडिट कार्ड वाला पैसे लेगा इंटरेस्ट डालेगा बाद में घर ले लेगा this is what happens in India. And thus the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. If we want to be very, very refreshing, charming, handsome, na, huh? We know what to do now. He always thinks of his failures, grieving very deeply. So that's how the beauty is gone. And then seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen. Yeah, so we know this in the villages. There is a lot of dependency on this ox carts to do a lot of transportation, but when they are weak and when they cannot due to age, they are killed. And then here I think there is further explanation of what kind of killings happen. Be careful to hear. Not only in the present age, but from time immemorial, no one has liked an old man who is unable to earn in the family. Even in the modern age, in some communities or states, the old men are given poison so that they will die as soon as possible. In some cannibalistic communities, the old grandfather is sportingly killed and a feast is held in which his body is eaten. The example is given that a farmer, the example is clear. Similarly, when an attached person in family becomes old and is unable to earn, he is no longer liked by his wife, sons, daughters, and other kinsmen, and is consequently neglected. What to speak of not being given respect? So we think, we say elderly, we have to respect. Here we are talking about consequently neglected. Question of respect comes later. So because of this, whatever effort we all will give of maintaining a family, materialistic family, it will only leave us bitter experiences and more to suffer. It is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Lord. One should apply himself in Lord's service so that the Supreme Lord can take charge of him and he will not be neglected by his so-called kinsmen. So who is best to take care of us? Is the Lord. And when we take shelter of him, then our life is successful. And then tatrapi, then thereafter, what is happening? That the foolish family man does not become averse to the family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained, deformed by the influence of old age. So, yeah, you know what old age homes and all these things are prevailing because deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. This is what happens. We know that this Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, these are 4 deadly problems that they don't die but make us die. Family attraction is so strong that even if one is neglected by family members in his old age, he cannot give up family affection. And this is what happens. Therefore, we see sometimes that there is grandfather, great grandfather, so much love for grandson, great grandson, great-grandson of their neighbor. In that way, so much attraction that they don't even know what is the Vedic scriptures telling, that as soon as one passes 50 years of age, he must give up family life and live alone in the forest. After preparing himself fully, he should become a sannyas to distribute the knowledge. It's not sannyas means to free ourselves from responsibilities, uh, and to lead a freestyle life, uh, to distribute the knowledge of spiritual life to each and every home. That is the role of sannyas in the society. Thus, he remains at home just like a pet dog and eats whatever is so negligently given to him, afflicted with many illnesses such as dyspepsia. So, it is not some Pepsi, some cola. It is maybe someone think, oh, it's so nice now. And if we do this, dyspepsia and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food. And when one eats very less, how much can he have stamina? And he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. This is what happens. And that's why this is very important. If a man leaves home and dies without his family's knowing, that is considered to be a glorious death. But an attached family man wants his family members to carry him in a great procession even after his death. And although he will not be able to see how the procession goes, sometimes we say ना ऊपर से देखता है कैसे चल रहा है ऐसा नहीं होगा. He's immediately going to narak. That's what we will read. So he doesn't have time to see the whole procession. He still desires that his body be taken gorgeously in procession. Thus he is happy without even knowing where he has to go when he leaves his body for the next life. And now where is he going? In that diseased condition, one's eyes bulge due to pressure of air from within and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing, and upon exhaling and inhaling, he produces sound like gurgur, rattling within the throat. All this is quite disturbing, isn't it? And then what happens? In this way, he comes under the clutches of death and lies down. And then interesting story starts. It's funny, but reality. Surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives. Sometimes we see this great epic of drama. Sometimes someone is dead. I don't know what relation one may have or not had. He comes and just falls flat, cries loudly. Although he wants to speak with them, the person who is almost on a deathbed, he can't speak. He no longer can because he is under the control of time. He is just thinking, what can I do? And here Prabhupada is mentioning, for formality's sake. All these are bitter truths. Yeah, we can't say our family is exception, our extended family is exception, our country, our culture, all this is bogus. The Lord is speaking about the human race, human society. For formality's sake, when a man is lying on his deathbed, his relatives come to him and sometimes they cry very loudly, addressing the dying man. Oh, my father, oh, my friend, oh, my husband. In that pitiable condition, the dying man wants to speak with them and instruct them of his desires. But because he is fully under the control of time, death, he cannot express himself. And that causes him inconceivable pain. He is already in a painful condition because of disease, and his glands and throat are choked up with mucus. He's already in a very difficult position, and when he is addressed by the relatives, it becomes more painful. अरे तुम अगर होते तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है मुझे. That means, oh, he can't anyway be there. What can he do? एवं कुटुंब भारेण एवं कुटुंब भरणे व्याप्तात्मा जितेन्द्रिया म्रियते रुदतां स्वानां उरु vedanayasta dihi. Thus the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in great grief, seeing his relatives crying. He dies most pathetically in great pain and without consciousness. And in that way, what is happening is that the condition is very pathetic that he is going through. And then what is happening? In this way, there is no relief. Because the common man does not know the destiny of his life. He is simply busy in his flash of life maintaining his family. At the last stage, no one is satisfied with how he has improved family economic condition. Sometimes this is what happens. He thinks that, okay, I have maintained the family for 30 years, 40 years, and now I'm on a deathbed. No one cares me. No one regards my words. Huh? They're just waiting. Hmm. Because of his deep family affection, he forgets his main duty of controlling senses and improve his spiritual consciousness. He doesn't do that. And this is what happened. These are the material diseases of conditioned soul. He completely forgets his real engagement to become Krishna conscious and is always serious about planning to maintain his family, although he changes family one after another. And at death, what is happening? He sees the messenger of the Lord of death come before him, their eyes full of wrath, and in great fear he passes stool and urine. Uh, and in this connection, just to have some small relief of this verse, no? Prabhupada gives, there are at least, there is alternative there. What is the alternative? There are two paths. Did I cross already? Oh yeah, yeah. So there are two paths, two kinds of transmigration of living entity after passing away from the present body. One kind of transmigration is to go to the controller of sinful activities, Yamaraj, and the other one is to go to the higher planet up to Vaikunta. So Lord Kapila describes how persons engaged in activities of sense gratification will go into the custody of Yamaraj and Yamadutas. The conditions will be described from here. Don't be scared. As a criminal is arrested by punishment by constable of state, a person engaged in criminal sense gratification is similarly arrested by Yamadutas, who bind him by the neck with strong rope and cover his subtle body so that he may undergo severe punishment. And in the purport it's mentioned, because we in this world we are leaving our gross body. What is going actually to the hell is the subtle body. But subtle body also has mind. And what is the property of mind is to take and to reject. And there is also this perception, false ego, intelligence, everything is still there. So perception is there. So punishments can be perceived. It's not like, okay, body is only perceiving all these things. It is body is only kind of connectors to the actually perception within the subtle body. Even every living entity is covered by subtle and gross body. The subtle body is the covering of mind, ego, intelligence, and consciousness. It is said in the scriptures that constables of Yamaraj cover the subtle body, and take him to the abode of Yamaraj to be punished in a way that he is able to tolerate. There is also some small daya. Tolerate means so that they'll keep repeating, but tolerate, that person can tolerate. He does not die from this punishment because if he died, then who would suffer the punishment? So there is no mercy. It is not the business of the constables of Yamaraj to put one to death. In fact, it is not possible to kill a living entity because factually he is eternal. He simply has to suffer the consequences of his activities of sense gratification. And the purport of in the process of punishment is explained. This is what I was mentioning about the punishment in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kings used to do. What kings used to do is would take a criminal in a boat. No, very nice. In the middle of the river, they would dunk him by grasping a bunch of his hair and thrusting him completely underwater. And when he was almost suffocated, the king's constables would take him out of the water and allow him to breathe for some time, and then they would again dunk him in the water to suffocate. This sort of punishment is inflicted upon the forgotten soul by Yamaraj, as will be described in the following verses. While carried by the constables, he is overwhelmed and trembles in their hands. Of course, who wants punishments? While passing on the road, he is bitten by dogs and he can remember the sinful activities of his life. He is thus terribly distressed. Hmm? And in this, what we see is that it is not a catwalk. It's a dog bite on the way. There is all this amazing. Dogs are also there in the hell. meets many dogs which bark and bite just to remind him of his criminal activities of the sense gratification. And then one is bereft of all intelligence when he is too attracted by sense gratification and he forgets that he has to suffer the consequences. Here, the chance of recounting his activities of sense gratification is given by dogs. So that we know, okay, we cannot question Yamaraj, why are you doing this? When one dog bites, we remember what sin we have done. Under the scorching sun, the criminal has to pass through roads of hot sand. People who are in sunny weather can realize how it will be. Under the scorching sun, the criminal has to pass through, walk on the hot sand, and then with forest fire on both sides. He is whipped on the back by the constables because of his inability to walk, and he is afflicted by hunger and thirst. But unfortunately, there is no drinking water, no shelter, no place for rest on the road. And then this goes further. While passing on that road to the abode, he falls down in fatigue, and sometimes he becomes unconscious, but he is forced to rise again. In this way, he is very quickly brought to the presence of Yamaraj. What is that quick? We will come to that now. What is that quick? Thus, he has to pass 99,000 yojanas within 2 or 3 moments. There is no like, okay, I can come walk slowly. No chance. In 2-3 seconds, he has to cover 99,000 yojanas, which is 792,000 miles. Such a long distance is passed over within a few moments only. The subtle body is covered by the constables, so that the living entity can pass such a long distance quickly and at the same time tolerate the suffering. Oh, there is an example given, I forgot. No, this is not worth. He is placed in the midst of burning pieces of wood and his limbs are set on fire. In some cases, he is made to eat his own flesh or have to have it eaten by others. Disgusting. That is what is called Yama Sadhan. His entrails are pulled out by the haunts and vultures of hell, even though he is still alive to see it. And he is subjected to torment by serpents, scorpions, gnats, and other creatures that bite him. There is a pakka facilities of Yamaraj. And if that is not enough, his limbs are lopped off and limbs are just lopped off. This question may come, okay, when gross body is gone, right? When gross body is gone, where are the limbs coming? Yeah, but these are all, what do we call, subtle body. Yeah, when we're saying that eyes, there is also subtle body which is eye. He is hurled down from hillock. He is hurled down from hilltop and he is also held captive there in either in water or in cave. Men and women whose lives were built upon indulgence in illicit sex life are put into many kinds of miserable conditions in the hells known as Tamishra, Andatamishra and Raurava. Yeah, these rivers, these hells, if you want to know more, refer to Garuda Puran. But in the purport, it's mentioned about what is illicit sex about. Then Lord Kapila continued, my dear mother, it is sometimes said that we experience hell or heaven on this planet. So people in the purport, no one is there. It is said that I don't believe all these things. Hell, go to hell. I don't care. Sometimes unbelievers do not accept these statements of scriptures regarding hell. They disregard such authorized descriptions. Lord Kapila therefore confirms them by saying that these hellish conditions are also visible on this planet. It is not that they are only on the planet of Yamaraj. So it is also there here. For example, if a man is to be punished to remain in hell and eat stool and urine, then first of all, he practices such habits on planet of Yamaraj. And then he is given a particular type of body that of a hog so that he can eat stool and think that he is enjoying life. It is stated previously that in any hellish condition, the conditioned soul thinks he is happy. Otherwise, it would not be possible for him to suffer hellish life. This 29, read yourself. I think it is, one has to read it carefully. The point here is that hell is a training ground of how to suffer in the real field. Yeah, just like we know this. What is this camps? In army, there are camps, na, where one is trained how to fight. Camps, na? Battalion. I don't. So in these camps, everything is trained. So hell is a training that is given. Like if I desire a hog life, I am trained how to enjoy a hoggish life when I get the body of a hog. So that is the place of hell. So the training will be rigorous. That was anyway. Please read. That is 29. Evam kutumbam vibrana udaram bhara evava. This is telling about bhunkte tat phalam idrisam. After leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. So this is what he is saying to Devahuti. And then, any hope, any relief? He goes alone to the darkest region of hell after quitting the present body, and the money he acquired by envying. There is the word. What is that? Envying. Yeah, it's referred here. Envying. Drohena. Yeah, Drohena, I think. Yeah. Hitva, Dvantva. Yeah. Drohena. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, through this process, what is happening is that envying other living entities is passing the money with which he leaves this world. And what is this money? Who is taking it? Is he taking it? No. The money is staying where it is. He has to. This cannot be taken to the other worlds. For example, if a man secures the money by killing someone and with that money maintains his family, those who enjoy the black money earned by him are also partially responsible and are also sent to hell. But he who is the leader is especially punished. The result of material enjoyment is that one takes with him the sinful reactions only, not the money. The money he earned is left in this world. In this world also, if a person acquires some money by murdering someone, the family is not hanged. So this is the example given. And Chanakya Pandit says, therefore, whatever one has in his possession had better be spent for the cause of Sat, not Asat. They remain here and they will be lost. Otherwise, either we leave the money or the money leaves us, but we will be separated. The best use of money, as long as it is within our possession, is to spend it to acquire Krishna consciousness. And then here is saying, thus by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, the maintainer of kinsmen is put into hellish condition like a man who has lost his wealth. So all this suffering example, I mean, is only telling us, taking us to that point that what it means to lead a sinful life. Similarly, the money earned by a criminal process may be left by the man when dying, but by superior arrangement, he carries with him the effect. We can't say that money I am not using anyway. I left it for my heirs. They will suffer. No. Effect we will carry. Therefore, he has to suffer hellish life. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black methods certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andha Tamishra. Let me see if there is some reference from here. Which verse we are in? 33. One more to go. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black method certainly goes to the darkest region. Maintaining one's family is certainly the duty of householder, but one should be eager to earn his livelihood by prescribed methods as stated. And in this connection, there is mentioned about varnashram system that we can follow and etc. One should work honestly according to his qualification. He should not earn his livelihood unfairly by means of which he is not qualified. If a Brahmana who works as a priest so that he may enlighten his followers with spiritual way of life is not qualified as a priest, then he is cheating the public. One should not earn by such unfair means. The same is applicable to a Kshatriya or to a Vaishya. It is especially mentioned that the means of livelihood of those who are trying to advance in Krishna consciousness must be very fair and uncomplicated. Here it is mentioned that he who earns his livelihood but unfair means is sent to the darkest hellish region. Otherwise, if one maintains his family by prescribed methods and honest means, there is no objection to one's being a family man. And the concluding verse. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even though a person engaged in practice of yoga system may not finish perfectly and may fall down for some reason or other, his next life as human being is guaranteed. So all this drama we can simply avoid just by becoming a devotee. If we become Krishna conscious, we can avoid at least because we are getting again a human form. In case if we don't still finish the job, because we are getting a human form in a rich family, aristocratic family, or in a Brahmana family, we can again advance from there. So that is the purport of this whole chapter, that we all understand this need of Krishna consciousness as early as possible and then advance enough so that we can be relieved of all the anxiety and attain, what is that I said? We can finish the business of Krishna consciousness in this life. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anyone want to share anything, add anything, comment anything? Questions?
I think in this regard, Yamaraja will be very much busy because you see the material world.
Yeah.
He will be very busy in carrying out all his activities, whatever is described here.
Yeah. Yeah, and he has a big force, work folks for him, and that's very thankless service, right? That's a very thankless service of Yamaraj that he has to kind of still punish. Who likes to punish? There is no pleasure that Yamaraj is going to seek, but he is taking such a serious service so that we can be coming to our senses, real senses, do our business properly. Okay, if there are no questions, then we can close for today. Thank you very much for joining. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Prabhupada ki jai, Grantha Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Lord Kapila ki jai, Devavati ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.